Okay, so this is the problem on bonds. Yeah, now you'll be able to see. So we have bonds which have a face value of $100. 5 years remain to maturity. Frequency is 2 means these are bonds with semi-annual coupons. So that means the same coupon which was to be paid annually will now be divided by 2 and paid twice a year rather than once a year. And the coupon is 9% and the yield to maturity is 6%. So we have to determine the price of the bond. So the price of the bond first we will determine by a tabular approach, because most of the exams these days happen on pen and paper, not on Excel. So you should be familiar with the tabular approach also. That's more logical also, honestly. So I will write here the years, or rather years would not be right. I'll write the periods 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. There are 10 periods. Why? 5 years, yeah, and semi-annual coupon. So there will be 10 periods, correct. Uske baad, I am going to write down the cash flows. What are the cash flows? $100 each into 9% coupon divide by 2. Because the same coupon has to be paid twice a year. And this remains as it is for all the periods for the bond. And in the last period, you will also get your maturity value back, which means you're going to get back the $100 of face value. Okay? And then we will discount these cash flows. At what rate? We always discount it at the implicit yield. Now you'll have to adjust the yield downwards, because if 6% is the annualized yield, then 3% would be the semi-annual yield. I call it as SAY, semi-annual yield. Now discounting factors for each period will be 1 by 1 plus R raised to the power of N. And these are your discounting factors. Okay, and then present values, which will be cash flows multiplied by discounting factors. Okay, these are your present values. Now we will sum this all up. And that should get you to the price of the bond, which is $112.80. Now, what do you observe here? Is the bond trading at a discount or the bond is trading at a premium? The bond is trading at a premium, which means you are buying it at a higher price than the face value. That is why the yield is lower. Because यहाँ पे आपको capital growth नहीं मिल रही है. You are not getting capital growth here. You are having a capital erosion. आपने ये बॉन्ड खरीदा है $113 पे, $112.80, एंड वो मेच्योर हो रहा है $100 पे. So you are actually losing $13 of capital or $12.80 of capital. But you are getting $4.50 of coupon every period. So coupon का रिटर्न आपको मिल रहा है, लेकिन कैपिटल इरोड हो रहा है. That's why your yield is lower than the coupon. आपका yield से 6% है, but आपका coupon 9%. समझ में आया? That's how you look at it. अगर ये बॉन्ड डिस्काउंट पे होता तो आप कम प्राइस पे खरीदते और ज्यादा प्राइस पे मैच्योर आता तो आपका यील्ड ज्यादा होता. You're getting the perspective now. Now we can also do this. So this valuation is called as what? This is the intrinsic value of the bond, which I also call as the present value of the bond. Or rather, I would call it as a price. Price might be a better term for it. Now, can you also, for those of you who are fond of Excel, can you also do this by those of you who are fond of Excel, can you also do this by a function, Excel function? The Excel function is called the PV function. If I apply the PV function, it will be is equal to PV. Rate is what? Rate is always your yield, YTM. In this case, it will be the adjusted yield, the half yearly yield, which is 3%. NPER is number of periods. It will be 10 periods, which will be your number of periods into the number of years into the frequency. What is my PMT? My PMT is my annualized coupon, which is $4.50. What is the future value of the bond? The future value of the bond is always the maturity value. And type I'm going to take as 0 because these payments are always at the end of the year. And then press enter. What do you get? You again get $112.80. Negative. Negative क्यों आ रहा है ये? Because yes, because you are paying this price now. So when you pay something, it's a cash outflow. जब भी आप कुछ पे करते हो, वो cash outflow. Investor के perspective से होता है. So if I click on the formula, let's look at it from the investor's perspective. सबसे पहले क्या है? रेट है, yield. उसके बाद periods. उसके बाद your payment. Now payment is coupon. Coupon is something that the investor receives. So it has a positive side. Maturity value is something that the investor receives. So it has a positive side. But price is something that the investor pays. So it has to have a negative side. See, Excel doesn't understand English language. Excel doesn't understand emotions. Excel only understands numbers. तो वो गिव एंड टेक रिलेशनशिप जो है वो नंबर्स में एक्सप्रेस होनी चाहिए, तभी वो इम्प्लिसिट रिटर्न कंप्यूट कर पाता है कि नहीं? तो इट्स लाइक 112.8 इज बीइंग पेड एंड 100 इज बीइंग रिसीव्ड, so that's why it treats it as a negative. The second part of the question is कि अगर आपको पता होता, the second part of the question was what? If you would have known that the price is $112.80, how would you have computed the yield to maturity? So for that, I would apply the formula for YTM, which I have mentioned. YTM is C. C is what? 4.5 plus M minus P. What is the maturity value? 100 minus price 112.8 divided by N. N is 10 periods here. So this becomes your numerator, divided by 0.4 into maturity value, which is 100, plus 0.6 into price. So अगर मैं इसको divide करूं, I should get the yield, the semi-annual yield, which is 3%, semi-annual. So now to annualize this yield, I will calculate annualized YTM, which is 3% multiplied by 2, which comes to 6%. Is that correct? So annualized yield is 3% into 2, which is 6%. So is it the same as what we had started with? If you look here, we had started with a 6% YTM, which means that the 6% YTM actually ties into the crux of the problem. So that 6% YTM and the $112.80 of price are related to each other. This is one way to get the yield. Is there any other way to get the yield also? You can also use the rate function. for those of you who are fond at Excel, is equal to rate. What is it asking you first? N per. N per is the number of periods, which I will say is 10. PMT पूछ रहा है. PMT is your recurring payment. What is the recurring coupon the investor is receiving? 4.50. What is the present value of the bond, which is your price? So I will write here as minus 112.8. What is the future value of the bond? I'm going to write as 100. Type is 0. And I will get the same yield, which is 3% on semi-annualized basis. So how do you annualize it? Just make it into 2. So you will again get 6% yield to maturity. So what I have done now is I have now determined the yield to maturity using the formula also and using the Excel function also. So this is that whole gamut of affairs between yield, price, frequency, everything stitched together. Okay, makes sense. Thank you.